Yeah, welcome everybody. It's also my first time having this kind of speech on such a conference. Today I'm talking about an MES project implementation from a business perspective. What are some specific requirements that you may need to consider? First, about me. So I'm Patrick, I'm 26 years young, you can say. My background is I studied business informatics as a dual study with Takeda actually, starting 2016. And in this 3-year assignment, I have alternating aspects of practical and theoretical experiences in the university and in the company. And I also had a 3-month assignment in the headquarters in Tokyo, where I was able to have some insights in the digital area and also have a look at RPA, for example. Then afterwards, after my studies, I started in the MES project as an MES project support. And I wanted to, in this role, I wanted to give all my experience from the IT perspective, and I learned pretty quickly how it's more of a business project actually, and I got some insights in the business and in the processes, and then I started in MBR design for PassX, and we did a go live, and we also did hypercare support in this. And in this phase, we and my team, we built technical expertise, and we were reducing time to market because, of course, our project was really time consuming, and we also needed this new MES in our company because the older systems were running out of support. Then now, starting last year, my role name is now MES EBR expert. So we are now, I now have some advanced responsibilities in the MES area, and we are continuously building new technical expertise and also improving our systems. And of course, in this case, a lot of out-of-the-box thinking is required, and we do a lot of continuous improvement in the MES area. So my agenda for today is I give you a short project overview, showing the org chart, the project structure, and also the technical status that was before we implemented MES. Then I talk about our project journey, the challenges and how we overcome them, and I go specifically into every project phase that we had. Then I go into the part of lessons learned. So we implemented a lessons learned for every step in the project. And as you can see on the slide, we had over 100 lessons learned, of course. And then at the end, I want to do a short wrap-up and how we are moving forward in this topic. So in our org chart, we have at the top the program management or the business sponsoring. There was also a presentation, I think it was from Biogen, where they talked specifically about the business sponsoring and how important it is, and I can confirm that. We had a big business sponsoring and also huge support, and our team was structured in a matrix organization with the quality and computer software validation, where we have, of course, the QPs and other quality stakeholders and the CSV experts. Then us, the MES MBR team, with 3 internal MBR designers and several external MBR designers. Then the SAP MBR team, which is also a crucial part, or was a crucial part in this project, with some internal resources, IT, as the support structure behind this, and 2 business owners for 2 business divisions, so to say, on the site in Singen, and external support from Verum, and also the engineering part, of course. So the project timelines and milestones. The project started in 2018 with some vendor workshops and process overview of what is to be implemented with the MES. This just gave us a short outline on what we actually have to do with the MES. And then in this part, of course, the documents that are required for the system validation were created. I think the shortcuts are named to every one of you, with specific emphasis on the URS that we needed for the system validation. And in the next part, the 2020 part, where the system validation took place. So we did OQ, SAT, FAT, IQ, PQ not yet, because we had to postpone our MES go live because of the COVID influence. We had to do a lot of remote work, and this was not suitable for this kind of business application. Then in 2021, after the postponement of the project, we had some short lessons learned, and we could actually restructure our project and build some more expertise in the MES area, because we finally had some time. And then we did our PQ successfully and had our first MES go live with our mini EBRs, but I come to that in a later stage. Also important to mention, we had 0% downtime with this implementation, and I think this is really something to mention in there. Then starting 2022, we shifted from a project to a running organization, and of course, this is a crucial transition. Really important to have the right people in the right places, and from now on, we are really leveraging and improving our systems and components and processes. The technical status of the project was that we had to replace our old weighing and dispense system, Biceps, because as said, we are running out of support. Then we were replacing our old warehouse and production supply system with SAP EWM. To mention there, it was a big bang approach. So we implemented EWM and MES at the same time. So the interfaces needed to work seamlessly. We had no direct level 2 interfaces to be implemented, just scales. And the process that we replaced was IMPASEX, weighing and dispense, material flow, yield calculations, and partly equipment management, because now, of course, you need some kind of equipment to use IMPASEX to fully function. And the production processes in general were weighing, compounding, filtration, filling, visual inspection, and packaging. So now, I'll talk about the project journey. So you already know this kind of timeline, and I go through every point of the project in there. So for the project start, we had the vendor workshops, we defined our roles and responsibilities, and we defined our scope. But of course, there are also some challenges all the time with these kind of project starters. So the project management was set up, but responsible resources, internal resources, could not be assigned to the project. So we had some SMEs, but we still had some problems, to really encourage them to think about MES. Then the segregation of duties, due to that, was not defined or could not be defined. And then we also had a time killer with the scope definition and document creation, and also execution of these documents. This was taking a lot of time in the execution and in the first project phase. And then we also had too much reliance on external MBR design, which should not say that external MBR design is not good, but there needs to be some kind of handover to the business. And this was a really difficult part because the business, or my part in this project, was not too experienced with the MES in this stage. So we had some problems there in understanding the system in general and how the processes work. So how did we overcome these challenges? We had a greenfield project in Singen in parallel, so we could try out some system components, functionalities. We could create some MBRs to test and also to experiment with some different functionalities in formulas and equipment management and so on. And afterwards, so at the end of 2019, the headcount of the project team was increased. So now I come to the second part, 2020, system validation. As said, the project team was created, and the project team was an extended business function. So we had a direct interface, so to say, with the business. We executed our OQ tests, SAT, FAT, and did most of our master data management. So in this master data management part, we also did the whole structure and strategy on, for example, how to manage our warehouse, how to manage our warehouse locations, and also the interfaces with EWM, for example, were defined and also tested. But of course, we also had some challenges in there. So the remote project management during COVID was not suitable for an implementation of a business or production application. This is just my opinion, but I think some people can actually agree to this. Then also the MBR design strategy and build-up was not clear, so we decided to use GMBRs in our production, but how to build them or how the strategy is actually to use them was not clear. Then our go-live had to be postponed because of this, because we actually only had 1 month left before go-live on paper, but we didn't have any MBRs ready. So how did we overcome these challenges? So we decided to postpone the go-live. So we had time to build a solid strategy for our MBRs and our future with MES. Then the project and program management was replaced. So we had an external resource at first and replaced them with an internal resource. The connection to the business was actually better. And then afterwards, the strategy was presented to the site leadership team and was accepted. And then we also requested some or more business involvement and strategic support for the whole MES project in general. So we finally got some project resources that are actually experts in this case. Then 2021, the highlights are the go-live and the MES team that got process and strategic support. So the thing that was requested at the end of 2020 actually got executed for the 2021 start or restart of the project. We defined our MBR validation or verification approach. We did a lot of dry runs, which is important, and we did our PQ tests. So challenges that we had in there was the number of users to be trained, because we actually defined, as you have seen in one of my first slides, that we actually implement every process step with MES. So the number of users increased a lot because actually everyone on the site had to be trained in MES. This was a big challenge. And we also had technical challenges at the beginning of the go-live. Of course, the terminals and scale connection. Also, user access is also part of this, and interfaces at first with EWM and MES. So how did we overcome them? Of course, extensive user training. we spent a lot of time actually training the users on the specific processes. Then we had a huge user involvement in the validation and test activities. So it's the part in this is, or the really important part in this is that the user training could be reduced because they actually have hands-on experience with their validation and test activities, because they have like the real-life process in front of them. Then we did internal hypercare support after go live, so we didn't use external support in this. And this was also a really important part for us to learn more about the system and how it behaves in certain circumstances. And what also helped us overcome these, what also helped us with these challenges was a strategic mindset in every step along the project finalization. Because what this point means is that you always have to have the strategy that you defined first in mind when you actually execute the project, and also bring it to a finalization stage. Then the running organization part. So the project team afterwards, after the go live, has been handed over to the business. So the project team that was first designed to be an extended business function is now an actually business function. And what is also really crucial in this running organization part is the maintenance and implementation, improvement of the system, sorry. And we also created new roles inside the MES area with key users and MES coordinators, which are on the shop floor, getting all the problems, and then bringing them to the MES or MBR team. So we had some problems again with tricky user training, because when you have new roles, you also have to create a training concept for them. So the specific requirements for this were challenging, and the transition from project to business wasn't that smooth. The reason is that a project itself has a lot of freedom, you can say, and going to the business part then, or transitioning to the business part, at first was a little bit, we struggled a little bit with this. So how did we overcome them? So we checked the responsibilities and distributed the work better. We did training on the job, and we used the created roles, so the MES key user and coordinator roles, as a business catalyst. So it really helped us get more insight into the problems that we actually have with MES. So the lessons learned, the concept of lessons learned is that we had in our go-live phase hypercare support and problem management meetings, and the lessons learned concept was created to prevent making the same mistakes for future go-lives. Because as I mentioned, we only started with so-called mini EBRs that fill the gaps in between the system interfaces. And the full EBR, of course, is the full integrated aspect of using MES. But with these lessons learned, I'm really confident that we actually can reduce the number of problems in this case. So, but what are some actual lessons learned? So MES projects are not remote projects. You have to be on the shop floor. You have to have a look at the process to be able to mirror it in a system. Then process maps or overviews in general, and internal expertise, time too, are a prerequisite for MES projects. Then test runs are really important, and clean documentation. I mentioned before, we spent a lot of time creating this strategy for the MBR verification aspect, and this really helped us in forming a clean documentation So, for example, the quality as a stakeholder is also satisfied with our documents. And mistakes and deviations that you actually create in these runs really help for later process adjustments. I think this point is also clear, but I really need to highlight this because sometimes I have the impression that especially in the pharma industry, you really fear to make mistakes, but I think especially in MES, it's important to do these mistakes to find the real solutions. And then also these kind of transition scenarios or hybrid statuses that we have at the moment with the mini EBRs are, in my opinion, necessary to see if the interfaces work, and they work when you have the overview of the whole production process in place. Okay, then wrap up, moving forward. How are we using MES to move into the digital age? Digital transformation or transformational projects in general, it doesn't have to be digital transformation, are not exclusively IT or engineering projects. That's also what I want to highlight with my presentation here. And the business really has to accept and support the transformation process. In other presentations today, we heard a lot that the business involvement is really important, and I really want to highlight that too. Because it's actually, it is true. You need to build a baseline for the business to accept and understand the system, and that's what's really important. And the IT engineering is the backbone of these MES implementations, but the business has to drive the change. And interfaces, design and execution, are the really interesting part of MES projects, in my opinion, because there you see how every aspect of the production process actually works together. So there also needs to be a focus on the actual interface design and also of the testing of the interfaces. And I also have to mention to this, because I mentioned before that tests are necessary. These kind of tests, like the interface tests, are the real crucial part of MES projects. And also having people that are able to think out of the box, or at least between 2 or 3 domains, is required, especially with regards to the interfaces. You need to have people that are not only MES or production people, but also have a view or have a thought about what is above them, like, for example, the ERP level, and what is below them, for example, the shop floor level. And they have to have the understanding of how things work together. Okay, so this was my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patrick, for the interesting presentation and also talking about the challenges and how you have overcome the challenges. Yeah, I think that's also always something useful to share where other peers in the industry can learn from. Are there any questions for Patrick for what he has been talking about?
With the microphone, please.
Hi, it was a great presentation for people that are starting MES. So it's good to have these lessons learned. My question is, how many people were involved in the implementation? Like the amount, people, numbers.
The amount of people. I would say, business excluded, we were a team of 10 to 15. For the whole site, yeah.
And
so it was a really small team.
It was like 100% of your time involved in MES?
As I said, we had the transition phase from project to business. And of course, this was a challenging time because we had some project tasks still to do, of course. But the business tasks took over. And yeah, this was actually the part where we transitioned from project to business. So yeah, coming back to your question, the business part takes over, yeah.
Thank you.
Or the operational part.
Thank you.
Any other questions in the moment right now?
Does it? Thanks, Patrick. Just one question. Your key user and coordinators, they are located at the shop floor, so they handle the equipment.
Exactly.
Okay. What is, after the go live, the type of question you're receiving from them, the type of feedback? Is it like IT related? Is it process related? What is the type of feedback you get from them after the implementation?
It's mostly process related, but it's a dialogue, so to say. So we as MBR designers, we also get more insight into the process, but we also get the feedback from them on how the process should be, for example. We, as the MBR team at Takeda, for the mini EBRs, we use standardized processes. Yeah, this is actually the feedback, because most of the time, the IT infrastructure was not the problem. It was mostly the execution and how to handle the MES. So that's why we had the extensive user trainings in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Patrick, also for the, let's say, reconfirmation that an MES project, for an MES project, business needs to sit in the driver's seat, and this is a big organizational change management project. I think that was the essence of your presentation as well.
Yes.
Thank you very much.